Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Disney Cruise Line Show, a DIS Unlimited podcast. I am the captain of this cruise through conversation, Rhino. And what is a captain without his co-captain? So let me introduce them. We have Dreams Unlimited travel agent Elaine Edwards.
Hey, friends.
Dreams Unlimited travel agent Chris Vorbeck.
Yo-ho.
And DIS correspondent Chloe Ferreira.
Ahoy.
Hello. Today, you may be wondering, what are we talking about? Well, guess what? I'm about to tell you. We're talking about booking a land and sea vacation. Don't know what that is? We're going to get into it in a second, but I do want to remind everybody that this and everything that we do here is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. They are experts at helping you plan the perfect cruise vacation. And when you book with them, it costs you nothing extra on your trip. You help support the channel, all the content that we produce here, and get this, you can receive up to $1,000 shipboard credit as well as a cruise gift basket for any cruise you book through Dreams Unlimited Travel. Doesn't have to be Disney Cruise Line. That's right. What a deal. I'm not going to say the joke this episode. But like I said, we're talking about a land and sea vacation. Land and sea, this is something that I've done, but not related to a Disney Cruise Line. I actually did it with a Universal and a Royal Caribbean cruise line, which we talked about, which wasn't official. But you're wondering, like, what is this whole thing? Like, what is a land and sea? Elaine, answer me. What's a land and sea?
So typically, when you think of a land and sea vacation with Disney Cruise Line, you would think of a part of your trip is going to Disney World, and then a part of your trip is going on a Disney cruise.
Actually, what I think of when I think of a land and sea is both a burger and a lobster.
Surf and turf.
So when you are planning your Disney cruise, we always recommend that you come in at least a day in advance. We've gone over that 100 times, you know that. But a lot of people like to come in several days in advance and visit
a theme park.
Yeah, which just like went out of
the
my
most
brain.
magical place on earth.
Disney World was not a word that was in my brain. It was just gone. Disney World. Yes.
You can book with Elaine at Elaine.
Specializing in Disney World.
Yeah. Specializing in Walt Disney World. That's right. No, I'm just kidding.
So anyways.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. So, and there's different combinations, of course. You could do Disney World first or Disney World after. And then there's other things you could do as well. You could do a Universal trip and a cruise. But if you're not looking at Florida, then there's other options that we were talking about that with Disneyland, that you could do a Disneyland trip. And then right down the road at San Diego, you can sail out of San Diego.
I'm actually I think that's the one I'm like really, really interested in doing. And I know this is a weird way to think about it, but it's like LAX to Anaheim and then down to San Diego. So I'm just like doing a down the coast situation. But when I think of Walt Disney World, one of the questions I was going to ask you is like, oh, do you have a preference? Do you like to do the cruise before or after? Mentally, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm coming here or as a local, whichever way, is that like I'm thinking cruise post Walt Disney World, right? Because it's the vacation. The joke always being, I need a vacation from this vacation.
Yeah.
Which, because you're walking thousands and thousands of steps. And to me, right away, a cruise sounds like one of those things where you're like, oh, thank God, there's only so many decks. There's only so far you can go, and it seems like that's the spa of it all.
Right.
Like the cruise is like the spa treatment.
I think
like.
that's the way I would do it. So you get the relaxation after. Love Disney World. It can be a little frenetic, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to different places. You're waking up to do your lightning lanes. Blah 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 blah. You don't. It's much more calm and cool and collected on a Disney cruise ship, and you don't have to worry about your dining is set. You're having your dining either early or late. It's not as complex, and so that's the way I recommend. I generally recommend people book their Disney cruise first, get that locked down, because you have more flexibility around booking a Disney World, or if you're going to Universal, do a Universal add-on. It's much easier to do that because there's the cruises are going when they go, and so start with that, and then book the other parts of it.
Well, that I guess that would lead me to that is answering my question, which is what order do you book it in? But I guess you have to kind of decide to yourself, like, here's the itinerary that interests me, or here's the ship that interests me. You know, which one of these things to go with. Chloe, I'm going to ask you this because you've lived in Florida your whole life, and you've been cruising since you were younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, I know going from like being the child, I don't want to say escorted onto the cruise, like it's like you're taken against your will.
Hosted. I was hosted as a young lass.
But I'm just curious, you know, for you, what's something that you look at? Is it ship based for you, having, you know, done this for an extended period of time, or do you like to look at the itineraries? Like, which one pops into your agenda first when you're thinking about something like this?
I mean, being in Florida, it's definitely what's convenient, which is, you know, the itineraries that go out of Port Canaveral, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. So it's usually a Caribbean or Bahamian cruise, right?
Yeah.
So I usually am looking at what ship it's going to be on, and I tend to enjoy the longer sailing. So I've done a lot of 7 nights on the Fantasy because of that.
Yeah, I know you do, because you literally text me something about being like, I wish the sailing was longer. And I was like, girl. Like,
well, especially on a new ship. That's,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I was going to agree with Chris, though, when it comes to planning a land and sea vacation, I would absolutely plan Disney World first and then relaxing on the ship on your second part of your trip. That, and also it's always sad to go back home after a Disney vacation, but I feel like if it's already built into your itinerary, you have to get off the ship so early in the morning on that last day rather than leaving your Disney resort, you know, at whatever time to make it to your flight at MCO or wherever. I feel like it's a little more, I don't know,
defined.
Structured.
Yeah, it's a little more structured, defined, to leave the cruise port to go back home rather than leaving Disney World, and it's just a little more of
And
a
it's
bummer.
so easy just to take the
Yeah.
Disney Cruise Line transfer
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
on the like
Right.
it's just it works very well.
I think it's a better, I guess, like the inertia of the ending of the vacation adds for a better, like, we'll say, transition back into the real world, where it's like, you know, the ship is moving in this motion toward it, the vacation's like kind of coming to a close, and like you said, and then you're getting from the ship to the bus to the thing, like,
And
it's just kind of has
There's
that.
also the
cradle.
last, your cruise comes to an end. Your Disney World, I mean, Disney World goes on whether there's no like ending part to
Right.
a Disney World trip. Like, other people are going to be at Disney World tomorrow, even though I'm not there. But the cruise ship, you're all getting off. And so I think it does have that kind of, structurally, that end is built in to the...
story's over.
Correct.
Get off the boat.
So it's yeah, right. That's about what it's
Right,
like, right?
really.
That last
See
morning,
you
they're
real
kind of like,
soon.
oh, thanks for coming. Get out.
See you real soon. Here's your
right.
luggage. Beat it, bozo. Yeah.
No, the
they're
moment you
not
see
like that.
those paper luggage tags on the bed, okay.
I
I
know.
got Mickey at least.
That's funny. I have this question I'm going to throw out here. Is there a certain balance that you enjoy? You know, like, do you say like 3 or 4 days at Disney, and you know, balance it with a 3 or 4 night cruise, or are you saying like 2 days at Walt Disney World, 7-day cruise? Like, how do you like to do it?
I really think that depends on who is traveling and what your family kind of likes. I mean, I have people
And how much money they want to give?
And
and
budget.
how much money they
Budget,
would like to
budget.
spend. Because I mean, I do have people that come down and they will stay at Disney World for a week and then they will go on a week cruise. It is very, very, very common.
Will those people adopt me, please?
Yeah.
My family doesn't do that. So, generally, if I am planning something that is a land and sea, in my mind, the cruise is the like main vacation to me, and Disney World is the add-on. So usually that tends to be a little shorter, like maybe 2-3 days, and then get on the ship for 3 or 4.
I think that's a great way to, like, it's how you kind of are mentally quantifying it, where you're like, which part of this is the add-on? Because I it's funny that you said that, because for me it'd be like, oh, the cruise is the vacation and the Disney World is the add-on.
Right.
But yeah, I guess maybe that's just because I'm so used to going to Disney World so much, as I'm just thinking like, oh, the new thing's the add-on. Whereas like for a lot of people, it probably is like the main event, right? You know. Sorry, go ahead.
We should talk about transportation, because if you're staying at Walt Disney World, they will pick you up, right? They have buses at all the Disney hotels. They will pick you up and take you to Port Canaveral. It's actually gotten very nice. They do all the check-in stuff that you normally would do at the port, they do right at the hotel before you even leave your hotel. So they check your passports or whatever documentation you have. They're checking your port arrival form. So you do all that stuff. You go straight to security once you get to the port. It's really nice and easy. So they will take care of all those things. It makes it like you're in the cruise bubble very, very early on, and it makes it really nice. So.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
before
go ahead.
you
Yeah.
move on, Universal also has an option that, and it's good for any option, but if you are booked on a Universal package, you can actually add a transfer that will pick you up at the airport, bring you to Universal, and then when that's over, it will actually take you to Port Canaveral. So that works out really well if you were trying to do a Universal trip.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Elaine, but I'm getting a lot of people as Epic Universe gets ready to open next year. I'm getting more and more questions of people saying, okay, yes, land sea, but my land part is going to be maybe stay at Epic for a couple days and then go down to Port Canaveral. So it will be interesting to see what happens as Epic Universe opens in 2025.
So the Universal Land and Sea, it can be for any cruise line, right? So it's
Correct.
basically just the transfer is kind of the hidden connector piece, right? Yeah.
Right. Which is nice that they're offering that.
I mean, I think it's really smart because it is kind of one of those where they're like, "Hey, take advantage of this thing," and they're like, "I mean, we don't have a cruise line, but we're not saying you can't go on another cruise." And I like that idea too because it does let people who maybe are wanting to tiptoe into the Universal stuff, which we always recommend. I mean, Chloe and I talk about it all the time. But it with the new theme park opening over there and everything like that, I think adding that 1 or 2 days on is really nice. I think it could be a nice like, oh, well, we're doing the cruise. Why don't we do the 2 days at Universal or a day at Universal, and then we'll go from there. Try one of those resorts or one of those hotels, excuse me, rather, and, check it out. I don't know, especially this time of year where, as of recording this, it's the fall, and I feel like, you could kind of hit some of those, like if you're doing like a Halloween on the high seas with Disney Cruise Line, it might be fun to do like the flip side of like a Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, and then, get a little bit of both sides of that coin, or even do the Mickey's Not So Scary and do a whole Halloween themed Halloween thing.
I love that.
Seems great.
Can I
Yeah.
talk
I love the sound
about
of that.
Land and Sea that I think a lot of people don't think about?
No, I'd rather you didn't. No, just kidding. Yeah, of course you can.
So I did one a couple of years ago where I flew into Orlando International, rented a car, and then drove to Vero Beach. Stayed at Vero Beach
Yeah.
in the Disney resort that we have there.
Never been.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. And so we stayed at the Disney's Vero Beach. We only stayed one night, but you could, of course, stay 10 nights if you really wanted to. But
How
Oh,
far
you
is-
lived there for
the
3
drive
months
was
once, right? No, just kidding.
How
the
far
drive
is
was
Vero
super
Beach?
easy going from I actually drove it myself going from the airport to Vero Beach. It was very, very, very easy. There was not much in the way of traffic.
Yeah.
It was just very smooth. It was very easy drive.
It's
And
about an hour
then
and
the
a
next
half.
morning when we went to the port, it was about, I would say it was maybe about an hour, but we drove along the coast.
From Vero Beach to the
from
port.
Vero Beach up to,
Okay.
or up, down, whatever it was,
Up.
to the port. And it was very nice because it was, like I said, it was along the coast. We saw lots of little towns.
Yeah.
We went by Air Force Base. We were able to get Starbucks on the way. And
It's a gorgeous drive.
yeah.
'cause
So that
it's-
was a lot of fun. And then we actually dropped off the rental car at the port, and they drove us actually into the port. And then we took Disney's transfer back to the airport.
Oh, nice. Chloe, you got a Vero Beach
I was,
experience.
I
know
was
made
born
that
and
joke.
raised in Vero Beach.
Yeah.
So
she
I
actually lived there for the first 25 years of her life. No one noticed.
I sure
It was
did.
like a Steven Spielberg
I sure did.
terminal movie.
I
yeah.
sure did. So Disney's Vero Beach Resort is it's actually technically on Wabasso Beach, but it is just outside Vero Beach. But it was nice to have Dole Ups in my backyard, quote unquote, and character meet and greet breakfasts, and it's a gorgeous resort, and it's so relaxing there. So I would absolutely recommend, if you wanting to stay in the Disney bubble but maybe not be attached to the theme parks per se, it is a gorgeous resort. And they often, going back to the sea turtles we talked about in the last show about the how much I love sea turtles, they often have turtle watches at Disney's Vero Beach Resort too, because sea turtles are very common to make nests, and you'll often see like their nests are blocked off. Yeah, and they'll have huge events when the eggs hatch.
Oh, cool.
And go into the water, and it's so cool to see.
And they also do the lighting in a special way to protect the turtles.
Yeah, that's all.
Because the turtles
the
use
there.
when they're born, right? They use the moon and kind of, and so they don't want the light to mess that up.
Exactly.
So cool.
Yeah.
Love turtles.
The food there is really good, and it's just a chill place. But yeah, like Elaine was saying, it is a quick drive from Disney's Vero Beach Resort to the Port Canaveral Disney Cruise Line Port Terminal. It's like an hour drive up A1A, gorgeous scenic drive. From Disney's Vero Beach Resort to Disney World, it's about like a 90-minute drive. But it's just kind of clear across from
beach
Disney
line?
World to Port Canaveral, and then south a little bit on A1A to Vero Beach.
That's
So
right. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
The other thing that I've had clients do is stay at is it Discovery Cove over that's the water park part of SeaWorld, right?
I've never been, but yes, you're correct. Discovery Cove,
and they stay.
Aquatica is the water park. Discovery Cove is the like
dolphin experience.
Yeah, that's a like animal. Yeah. I don't
So
know how you describe
The
it. It's
zoo
not a
that
water
you
park.
can swim in?
Yeah, you swim with the animals, and it's like I was just talking about this to my friend because I really, really, really want to go.
Me too.
Like they only sell a certain number of tickets a day, and the tickets are like $400.
Oh.
And it's like, but it's like a whole day's worth of stuff, and like all of your food and everything like that, in your wetsuit, and you're swimming with all of the dolphins.
I
and
had
the
no
sharks,
idea.
And then there's all these birds, and like
I thought it was literally just a water park. I had no idea.
Aquatica is the water park.
Yeah.
And I think they even do a thing that when you buy a ticket to that, like you get a ticket to SeaWorld for free, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that rings a bell. I feel like there was something. I kind of remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So there are a bunch of different options you can do. Land, sea. That's sort of that's a CC kind of, water and water. But there are a bunch of different options that you can do and still add it onto your Disney. Well, you can't add it onto your Disney Cruise Line, but you know what I mean.
I've got somebody that's also doing a Alani Disney Cruise Line. Land
Oh, yeah.
Sea.
Oh, how does that work?
Because we have the Wonder, when it leaves Alaska,
Yeah.
then it goes down to Hawaii before it goes to Australia.
What?
So yeah. Now I don't know that one which one's going to be your primary there and what's going to be better, because Alani's pretty hard to compete with.
Well, how long does it sail around Hawaii? Is it just one sailing?
It doesn't sail around Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, it has several stops on other islands, right?
Yeah.
And then
just
it
down
ends
there.
up. It's not around because of laws. You can't do U.S. to U.S. So it finishes up. It then crosses the Pacific and ends up back in Vancouver. So
Vancouver to.
No, slow down.
Okay.
Slow down. Okay. One
You could see
sailing.
my brain doing it.
Yeah.
One sailing will be Vancouver down to Hawaii.
Oh, and then the next is
Then
Hawaii
the next
to Australia.
sailing is Hawaii to Australia.
Girl, get me on that one. That one
And that
sounds
one
incredible.
goes through like all the like Fiji Islands and everything.
yeah.
Wow.
And then it does it all backwards.
Well, we're gonna have to do another show about specialty cruises.
Elaine at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. Alani is also on a bucket list thing for me, getting to Hawaii. I've always wanted to go there, so that would be a really cool like Disneyland, Alani, Hawaii,
Right.
then cruise.
You will love Alani. You will love it.
What's the thing people say? People won't know I won the lottery, but there will be
There will be
signs.
signs.
Yeah, so now you know. Now you'll know if I won or not. But well, cool. I think Land and Sea sounds like a lot of fun. A really interesting option. It's one of those things where I know this is going to sound a little cavalier, especially in a time with like it's expensive and whatever. But it's one of those like. I do this all the time when I vacation. Is I sort of, where am I going? Who do I know that lives there? Can I add a day or two on? And I don't mean it in like a way where it's like, oh, I'm just going to go here and do it. Like, so my friend and I went on a trip to Disneyland together. We met there, and then he lives in Texas, and obviously I'm in Orlando. And I said, oh, well, we'll try and fly out around the same time to come back. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't I just go with him on his plane to Texas, and then like the next day or like 2 days later, I'll then take a plane and then go to Orlando, because I was like, I love visiting him in Austin. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do – so I did like 36 hours in Austin, because it was like – I've already spent all this money like to fly out, the hotel, whatever. And I was like, at that point, it became like $250 more to go stay at my friend's house, and hang out with him. And I was like, in the grand scheme of things, of how much it would cost to do a separate trip based on that.
That's why people do the land and sea.
And that's where I think that's a great. I don't want to be like it's a money-saving tip, but if you look at it in terms of the grand scheme of being like, planning a separate vacation for this specific thing, it actually does kind of be like, okay, well, let's bundle some stuff together, and do it that way. And I think it's great. Mentally, I can't get over the fact where now I've been like, it's a vacation from the vacation. I was like, that's what the people always say. And I'm like, we have that. So, well, thank you. This was a very informative, for me, at the very least. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But Land and Sea, if you're interested in booking one of these, again, Elaine, where do they go?
You can go to www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. From there, you can request your cruise. You can, if you've already working with an agent, you'll be able to select their name. If you'd like to work with me or Chris, you can select our name, and we will help you out.
And just a question about that. When booking that Land and Sea specifically, do you just put that in like the notes, or is there an option to book that specifically?
So I will have some people that will put in 2 separate requests, and then I got to kind of like in my mind be like, oh, that's what they're doing. Really, for the majority of people, we lock down their cruise first, as Chris was saying, and like this is how you plan it. And then once we have that locked down, then we start talking about building all of the things around it.
Perfect.
And with that too, I do want to mention that if you're just doing like a pre-night and you want to stay at Disney World, do not add it onto your cruise. Disney Cruise Line does offer that option. You can add on a pre-night at Animal Kingdom Lodge or wherever right onto your cruise. Don't do it, because you book it directly or through your agent. We'll be able to watch for discounts and then add discounts on.
Oh.
We can't do that if it's booked through Disney Cruise Line.
Yeah.
You're actually going to be paying more that way.
And if you're if you're submitting something through the Dreams website, I strongly suggest do one and say that you want to add on a Disney World or something stay, whichever one you choose first. That way you don't get 2 agents, one who pulls, one who's working on your Disney World part, one who's working on your Disney Cruise part. It allows us to integrate it all together and make sure all the pieces stay connected.
Yeah, because despite what some people may think, it's not one giant warehouse where everyone's had laptops right next to each other working at the same time, yelling out to each other, or like the old telephone people pulling. Which number did you need? Awesome. Well, I think it's time to bring this ship to shore and say thank you to everybody in this room for having this conversation with me. Thank you, everybody out there on the internet, for consuming this conversation. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to hit that bell when you subscribe to the channel, because then you get notified whenever we publish any sort of content about Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal, and all that sort of stuff out there. If you are listening to this, please rate and review the podcast whenever you have that opportunity. We appreciate that a lot. And don't forget about Dreams Unlimited Travel when booking that next cruise vacation at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com for a free, no obligation quote today. That is going to do it for all of us here at the Disney Cruise Line Show. Bon voyage, everyone.